I'm going to show you 7 simple rules the richest sales professionals follow to close any deal they come across. And they are the exact 7 rules that I followed to get up to $147,000 in monthly commissions. So I'll walk you through each of these 7 rules and how you can apply them specifically so you can make more money. Starting with number 7, the most successful salespeople put in the reps. But it's not just taking calls. Top sales professionals practice consistently. They're taking the sales calls, they're doing role plays, they're watching game tape. One of the biggest mistakes that I see them making is that they never go back to improve. They hear the common advice that you just need to put in your reps, but if you keep putting the same rep every single time, are you really improving? Another mistake that they are doing is when they are doing role plays, they're doing them with people at a lower level skill set or people with the exact same skill set as them. This is a perfect example of mental masturbation because you're not really improving. You're just patting each other on the back, telling yourself you did a wonderful job, but because you're at the same skill level, you can't improve the other person. So seek people with a higher skill set than you to give you feedback on how you should roleplay and what exactly to improve on your calls. So here's a helpful exercise. When you're starting out your day, before you start taking calls or engaging in conversations, I want you to practice your pitch. And don't just practice your pitch by saying it out loud, I want you to write it out on a piece of paper. Take all of your questions that you typically ask during a sales call, write them out, and below each question, I want you to ask yourself, why am I asking this question? What am I trying to get out of it? This will help you understand the meaning behind each question so you can understand the underlying psychology behind the questions instead of mind-numbingly asking them. Now moving on to 6 is top sales professionals focus on KPIs. If they don't get distracted by just making more sales or let's just take more calls or setting outlandish targets that they'll never hit, they identify the top 2 or 3 KPIs that define success. They regularly, even daily, review their performance and adjust accordingly, and they break their KPIs into actionable step-by-step goals. Some of the KPIs that I like personally are daily activity. That means how many activities are you doing on a consistent basis? How many calls are you taking? How many messages are you sending? How many follow-ups are you performing? Another helpful KPI can be just tracking the number of daily sales that you're making. Revenue beats everything. A lot of people rush to optimize towards closing rates, but the reality is closing rate is a vanity metric because you can easily disqualify people earlier before your conversation and virtually increase your closing rate while you're bringing in less money. On the other hand, you might be extending offers to a lot of people, maybe people that are unqualified as well, which results in a lower closing rate, but also more revenue on the back end. So I always lean towards optimizing for revenue. The third KPI I would like to optimize for is I'm going to look at the revenue I want to produce and I'm going to reverse engineer it into number of offers daily that I should be making. So take your average closing rate per month, put it against your revenue and your average sale per client, and that will help you come up with the number of offers that you should be making on a daily basis. These are not the people that you're talking to, these are the actual invitations that you're extending. For example, you need to make 5 offers daily and you're only making 3. You know that you need to push harder the next day, otherwise you're not going to be able to hit your goal. Rule number 5 is listening more than you speak. Effective communication doesn't come from talking, it comes from understanding. But you can't understand someone if you just keep yapping about your product or your service. You need to employ active listening, but also feeding back to the prospect what they told you. Either mirroring what they said by repeating back the 3 last words that they said, or you can paraphrase, giving deeper insight into what they're saying. An example of mirroring would be something like this. Yeah, Chris, we can definitely use more leads. You can say, use more leads. You can also ask a clarifying question along with it. So you can say, use more leads? How do you mean exactly? Or can you give me an example on how that looks like? Paraphrasing would be something like this. The prospect says, yeah, we can definitely use more leads. So you can say, oh, so it sounds like you don't have a predictable lead generation process right now. And when the prospect confirms, then you can move on with the next question. That's how you're showing them that you're listening instead of just waiting to ask your next question in your script. Rule number 4 is always follow up. I see a lot of gurus online talking about, oh, I never follow up. I reached 6-figure commissions without any follow-up. My question is, how much money could you be making if you had your current skill set and you added the skill of effectively following up. You should always maximize the opportunity to close people on that first or second call, but if you're able to build a pipeline of prospects you can harvest from, that's gonna put you in a much better position to maximize your commissions. So you're not just acting as a sales pro who knows everything and closes everyone, but you're also acting as a business owner because you're building your own flow of leads over time. How do you skillfully apply this? You should always use a CRM. Depending on how you take your sales calls or how you're engaging in chats, use a CRM like close.com, pipedrive.com, streak.com if you're only using emails. But make sure if someone doesn't buy on the call, make sure you have a set follow-up date always. You should always know when will the exact next step will happen. Don't just accept a blind, I'll think about it and get back to you. Set a follow-up date, even if that's 4-6 months from now. It will put you in a position to put together a list of prospects that you can check in once every quarter, and all those commissions will stack over time. Rule number 3 is handling objections before they come up. So you'll hear a lot of people that you should master objection handling, you should become the best, and after a few months you see these people getting burned out because they constantly have to argue and convince prospects to buy. I don't play that game. What I like to do is pre-handle as many objections as possible so I don't have to deal with the headache of trying to convince them at the end. Now, how can you do that? I want you to look at the 5 top objections that you typically get on sales calls, write them down on a piece of paper, and reverse engineer a question that's going to prevent that objection. For example, if you're getting too many money objections, a question might look like this. So Chris, as you might realize, it takes some type of investment so you can get the skills required to get more sales. So what have you set aside so you can get to 50,000 commissions per month? Never use the word budget when it comes to talking about money because it puts them in a cost-based thinking instead of an outcome-based thinking. Another example might be time. I don't have the time to do this objection. The question you can ask there is, well, as you might realize, Chris, it does take some time investment so you can get the results you want. So how much time are you willing to carve out so you can increase your commissions? Again, I want to put the objection on the table so I can solve it in collaboration with a prospect. I don't want to force them into buying, but I want to open the conversation and solve it together with them. Rule number 2 is reviewing game tape. One of the most painful activities in your life will be reviewing your past sales calls. It's awkward, it's cringy, and you just don't want to look at yourself talk because you clearly see the mistakes and you're slapping yourself on the forehead about why you made this in the first place. But it's the only way you can improve. So at least daily or 3 times a week, you should take one of your worst sales calls and you should break it down across these 5 pillars. Number 1 is tone, cadence, and tonality. How was your tone during the sales call? Was there modulation in your voice between critical points, or did the prospect feel that they were talking to a robot? Number 2 is authority. Did you show authority and leadership throughout that call, or was the prospect dragging you along your questions? Number 3 is your tactics, your strategy, and your structure. Are you following a structure to lead the prospect through your buying process, or have you abided into your prospect's buying process? If your prospect doesn't respect your buying process, how are they going to buy into your program and actually follow your advice? Number 4 is that your scripting, your logistics, and your word economy. Do you tend to talk too much? Is the prospect getting shut down and losing interest after a while? Or are you very calculated with your questions and using the right questions to your advantage? And number 5 is your objection handling and your objection prevention. How well are you pre-handling objections ahead of time so they don't become a headache at the end? And how effective are you at the actual objection handling? Are you reframing your prospect's perspective? Are you helping them see things from a different point of view? Or what objections are you not good at handling and you're getting shut down? And the number 1 rule of top sales professionals is that they're leaders. They lead themselves in their day-to-day life, and as a result, they're able to lead the prospects in a sales conversation. They know what questions lead to specific responses. They know what emotions they're triggering. They're having real, deep conversations with the prospect because they have mastered their inner world. When they have internal mastery, they're not gonna get shaken by anything the prospect throws at them. They know that the prospect is coming from a place of insecurity, so they know how to handle skillfully the conversation and lead the prospect towards to where they want to go. Now, leading conversation is amazing, but you need to know what questions you should be asking to lead the prospect to buying. So you can watch this video where I go over every single question you should be asking on a sales call. I'll see you over there.